Welcome to tonight's live stream. I am going to get started in a minute. I just need to let everybody know that the stream is on the air. Greetings, Steve Wallamack. Glad to see you here. Okay, now that I have promoted the live stream on social media, I'm going to give everybody a bit of a progress report on some upcoming projects from SJS Direct. And the John Haynes at Death's Door comic has basically been complete at this point. So all I'm waiting to do now is for the launch date for the Kickstarter. So John Haynes at Death's Door, you'll be able to get a copy if you put in a pledge for the Kickstarter, and you'll be able to get either a paper copy or a digital copy, or you can get variant covers of John Haynes at Death's Door. But all of the principal work on the comic is practically complete at this point. So all you have to do is sign up for the Kickstarter for John Haynes at Death's Door, and you'll be able to get a copy on June 22nd. So you guys would head over to Kickstarter. You can pick up you can sign up for the John Haynes at Death's Door Kickstarter, and you'll be able to pick up your copy on June 22nd when the Kickstarter launches. Now, I'm looking to get some other stretch goal rewards together, and I'm thinking about what I want to offer in addition to the print. That if we meet the $1,000 mark, I want to offer some other stretch goals. And if you guys want to suggest something, you may do so by in the chat, or you can do it through an email at sjsdirectamerica@gmail.com. Now, in addition to the John Haynes at Death's Door Kickstarter, I have the books of the SJS Direct 2022 catalog, Isis Legacy, and East-Team Horror of the Hyena Woman, available in paperback and Kindle right now on Amazon.com. And if you want to pick up these action-packed African-American fantasy books, you may do so by heading over to Amazon.com right now. Now, I'm looking for my first paperback and ebook sales for the month of June. And if you guys would head over and pick up these books, this would all help out the channel and also help out the SJS Direct imprint. Now, with all of that perfunctory done, I'm going to get into tonight's topic. And tonight's topic is based on a chapter in The Man Crisis, which is on Amazon.com. And it's also based on a chapter that I'm going to try to work into my new book, The Woman Crisis. It's all about the whole concept of toxic femininity. Now, you often hear many of the social justice warriors talking about the whole concept of toxic masculinity, and you oftentimes hear them talking about how men acting in a naturally masculine way is so-called toxic. However, you never hear any of these women who talk about toxic masculinity ever talking about the concept of toxic femininity. Now, this concept of toxic femininity is one that most in the media don't want to talk about, because your gynocentric media, all they want to do is push the woman as a ideal, and they want to push the idea that women are perfect. Unfortunately, the great irony here is by pushing the idea that women are perfect and infallible, this has one of the core foundations of what I call the toxic femininity. Now, the whole concept of toxic femininity has gained some traction in the media in the aftermath of the incident at the Oscars where your Will Smith slapped Chris Rock over a look that Jada Pinkett Smith, his wife, gave him. And it has also become something people have discussed in the aftermath of the verdict of the Johnny Depp civil trial as related to the very, very predatory behavior of his ex-wife, Amber Heard. Now, in the cases of your Jada Pinkett Smith and Amber Heard, we are seeing that there is a toxic female and that many females participate in toxic behavior. Now, this whole concept of toxic femininity is really just plain old feminism as I see it. And what we're seeing from the whole concept of toxic femininity is what happens after 60 years of white feminism and the enabling of the American woman. Now, how we got to the toxic female is what happened is we wound up with this toxic female due to us creating this feminist culture back in the 1960s. Now, back in the 1960s, you had all of these American women of the baby boomer generation supporting feminism. And this was basically laying the foundation for the toxic female we have today. Now, this toxic female who we have today is the end result of people going out here in the 60s supporting the feminist movement and basically giving the American woman whatever she wanted. Now, the powers that be wanted to give the American woman all of this power, and they wanted to give her this power because they hoped to benefit from her economically, because they did not like the man having economic power, and because the man has a producer-based mindset, he has a builder-based mindset, and what they wanted to do was get a female because females have a consumer-based mindset. So this is why many of your corporations and your politicians wanted to give women power. Unfortunately, what they were doing as they gave the woman economic power and political power was they were enabling dysfunction in most of America's women. And as we enabled all of this dysfunction in America's women, it has led to many women having several issues that we're seeing today that are a part of the toxic female. Because the reason why many women behave so out of control and out of pocket is because this behavior is enabled by a small group of men who benefit indirectly from the policies. So since these guys benefit from the policies by profiting off of these women's consumer spending, this is why we see these women basically being out of control. So that all of this whole thing with the toxic female has its foundations and roots in feminism. And over the last 60 years, we have seen America's women turn into feminists, and these feminists are now evolving into the toxic female. Now, this toxic female is one who is somebody who just really thinks that she's entitled to everything. She thinks she's owed everything. She thinks she has a right to do whatever she pleases. And that is all due to many males out here never setting boundaries for this female. And whenever a man tries to set a boundary for this kind of female, what happens is that you get a group of simps out here. And these group of simps, what they do is enable this woman by making excuses for her, going out here giving her passes for her bad behavior, and holding her to a completely different standard than they would a man. And this is why you have a female who becomes extremely toxic. So you have a lot of people out here talking about, oh, these males are toxic because they're masculine. No, they're not toxic because they're masculine. A naturally masculine male is a healthy male, but a toxic female is somebody who has basically been spoiled, basically been enabled, and has had so many people making excuses for her that she doesn't understand how to function in a healthy society. And that's what we see right now with celebrities like your Amber Heard. Your Amber Heard is basically one of these females who is used to getting her way, doing whatever she pleases, and never being held accountable. And this is why she had so many problems with actor Johnny Depp, because your Johnny Depp, he was another one of these simps who was caught up in her looks. And as he got caught up in her looks, he thought he was going to get a partner that would be a wife in a marriage. Unfortunately, what he wound up with was a female predator. And this female predator was someone who was looking to just get whatever she wanted and had no regard for him. And that's what happens to a lot of people out here. They don't understand that the toxic female is not interested in having any sort of relationship with anyone on any level. No, what happens with many of the toxic females is because of the dysfunctional way they have been raised and enabled, many of these toxic females, what they see people, not just men, but they see other women, they even see children. They don't see people as people. No, they see people as objects, and they see them as objects that they can go and use as a tool to get from point A to point B. So when you're dealing with a toxic female like an Amber Heard, she is not interested in being a helpmeet to a man. No, she is only interested in seeing what she can get out of that man, and if that man can take her from point A to point B. Now, the same thing happens with your Jada Pinkett, and she did it in a more insidious way. She knew that Will Smith liked her, but she knew that she wasn't really interested in him, but she knew that she had no options. So your Jada Pinkett, knowing she had no options after Tupac Shakur passed away, what she did was go out here and seek out your Will Smith and decided to go out here and marry your Will Smith. So this female was toxic from minute one. Unfortunately, your Will Smith was so caught up in his emotions that he didn't really see what the deal was with her. Now, the toxic female, what she does is she uses her looks to get your attention, and then she's very glib and very charming, and she knows how to talk. So the toxic female knows how to tell people what they want to hear, and these toxic females, they oftentimes know how to tell people what they want to hear, because their goal is not to have a relationship with another person. Their goal is not to connect with another person. Their goal is to get what they want. And after they go out here and get you caught up in your feelings about them, what you do is get so caught up in your feelings about them, you can't see that this person is actually manipulating you. Because the toxic female, she loves to go out here and manipulate guys. She loves to manipulate girls, and she does this to both genders. She'll manipulate the man, hoping to get his attention for relationships, and she'll manipulate women, hoping to use friendships to be able to use them to get what she wants. So many people think that, oh, the males are toxic because they're violent, but what makes the females toxic is the fact that they have been raised to become predators. And that's the scary part about a lot of America's women. We have a lot of America's women who were not raised to become women. And because they were not raised to become women, they became feminists. They learned the culture of toxic femininity. And this culture of toxic femininity has them not looking to be partners to men, but they're looking to be opportunists, looking to take advantage of both men and women. So when you're dealing with a toxic female, she is an opportunist, and this opportunist is looking for the right opportunity to jump into a situation where she can profit at somebody's expense. And that's what makes your toxic female a very dangerous person, because she's not interested in anyone. She is interested in what she can get. And all she's thinking about is what she can get out of someone before she even goes out here and engages them. Usually, these predatory females know a mark when within the first 5 seconds of looking at him. And when they see a mark, they go out here and target that mark. And this guy or this woman will think, oh, this person wants a friendship or a relationship with them, but they really don't want any type of personal relationship. No, all they see is a tool they can use. And the whole thing is that because many of the people who they mark really don't have good interpersonal skills or good social skills, they can't really identify why this person is talking to them. Many people, they are just so caught up in what they want as related to having their ideal relationship with the person. They can't see the reality of this person being a predator. Thank you, Major Balls, for posting the link on your Twitter. I really appreciate it. And I really appreciate it. Yeah, there's a lot of these female predators out here, and a lot of people don't know how dangerous these type of predators are. And we always see is basically we think that, oh, they're just very pretty. And again, these women they use their looks to overcompensate for their lack of character. And they do this because, again, they want to deflect attention from them. So whenever you're dealing with this kind of female, this toxic female, she will oftentimes use her looks to deflect from things. And then she also, as she's using her looks to deflect to get the attention of men, she also has a very strong mouthpiece. And that strong mouthpiece is what they use to go to bait women. They're very good talkers and they're very good looking. So these are two elements of the toxic female. And the toxic female, if you get caught up in what she's saying, you're going to wind up jamming yourself up real bad, because the toxic female, she's not interested in actually having real relationships with people. No, she has learned how to be a user from the day she was born, and she has learned this culture basically from birth, because this has been a major part of American culture. I mean, ever since we got the rise of the feminist movement, this has been the culture that has been taught to young girls and has been taught in a lot of America's media. So the predatory female narrative has been one that has been pushed for years, and it's one that is a very dangerous one. If you don't really catch yourself, you'll get caught up in things like it. But the whole thing is that if you can catch yourself, you can teach your daughters different. They won't turn into these types of toxic females like your Amber Heards or your Jada Pinkett Smiths. Now, your Amber Heards and your Jada Pinkett Smiths, they are definitely toxic females. And again, they are the types of females that, again, they put on a nice face on the outside. They'll be your friend as long as things are going their way, as long as they're getting all of the benefits of the relationship and they're getting exactly what they want. Everything is fine for them. But whenever things start to not benefit them, that's when you see these females really, that's when you see the monster come out. A lot of the toxic females, they're like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but they're 99% Mr. Hyde and 1% Dr. Jekyll. And the whole thing is that you don't really see the monster until you get behind closed doors. Now, both your Johnny Depp and your Will Smith, once they got behind closed doors with an Amber Heard or a Jada Pinkett Smith, that's when they started to see the monster come out of both of these women. And when they saw the monster come out of both of these women, they didn't really know what to do. So these guys really did not know what to do when they were confronted by this monster. And they thought, oh, I won't be. And the thing is that because they were so insecure and had such low self-esteem, they didn't think that they could do better than this female. So in the case of Will Smith, he thought this was his dream girl. He thought he was achieving his dream, and he thought he wouldn't be able to find another woman after that, I believe. And that's why he was stuck in this relationship with this predator, Jada Pinkett. But the whole thing is, when you're with this type of toxic female, that she looks to break you down. And the reason why she looks to break you down is because she wants to have all the power in the relationship, and she wants to have all the power in the relationship because she's actually the one who has extreme insecurities, and she has extreme insecurities because she knows that she doesn't have the character to have relationships with other people. She doesn't have any sort of connection to people on any level, and she knows that if you sever the connection with her, she will be the one set adrift, and that's what really scares her, and that's what really scared your Amber Heard and scared your Jada Pinkett. They both got scared, and that's why they started attacking the men in their lives, because they feared losing them. So they thought, if I change the relationship from an interdependent to a codependent one, I will be able to hold on to this man. So there's a method to the madness as related to their abuse. And whenever you're dealing with this kind of female and she feels like she's got you locked in, what she does is she starts abusing you because she feels powerless about holding that relationship, because that relationship isn't based on anything. And because the relationship isn't based on anything of substance, she's scared of losing the man. So she starts abusing the man in an effort to try to hold on to him by making him afraid of her. So this is another part of the toxic female. She will go out here and try to keep the man in her life by creating all sorts of drama, and starting all kinds of arguments. And she starts these arguments and starts this drama because she's scared, and she's not scared of the man going out here and so-called cheating. She's scared that she will not be able to hold on to a man, so she makes these accusations out of her fears over the man, and she creates a toxic environment over the man because she is afraid of losing the man. Now, these toxic females, they also use these same patterns on jobs, and that's because many of these females don't have much confidence in themselves and their work. A lot of these toxic females are very mediocre workers on the job, and whenever you're dealing with a toxic female on the job, she's, again, looking to use guys as tools, and she's always looking for a nice workplace simp to do her work, because she's basically a very mediocre worker who can talk a good game, but she can't put no results on the table. So when you're dealing with a toxic woman on the job, she will again look for somebody to do the work for her. And what she looks for are very weak men, like your workplace simps. And I go in depth in this in Stop Simping in the Workplace. You can get a copy of that book on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. So your predatory females, they look for guys out here to do their work for them, or even some girls. Again, this is all part of toxic femininity, and your toxic femininity has its roots in feminism. And your toxic femininity is basically an offshoot again of feminism. It is the whole expression of a feminist, because a feminist in a lot of cases does not see people as people. They talk about wanting to be equal people, but they don't want to be equal at all, because in their minds, people are tools they can use to get from one station to the next, and they have absolutely no regard for anyone's feelings. And because they have no regard for anyone's feelings, this is what makes the toxic female somebody who is just incompatible to be a partner in a relationship with, because this toxic female is not interested in having a relationship where she's looking to build. No, she is just looking to be transient and move from one place to the next. And because she's looking to move from one place to the next, she's not really looking to work with anyone, because the toxic female, she's just, again, looking to get what she wants from the people she's using. And then after she gets what she wants from the people she's using, she then tries to find a way to end any relationship. So this is something that devastates a lot of people out here, whether it be men or women, because they thought that this person was investing genuine feelings and emotions in them, but this person was never investing any sort of emotions in anyone. And that's because they never had any emotions at all. When it comes down to the toxic female, she is oftentimes very detached and disconnected from her emotions, and she just sees everything as an opportunity for herself. So she doesn't see people as people she can go out here and connect with. She doesn't see people as having feelings like anything at all. She's completely detached from her emotions. She just doesn't care about anyone. It's all about what she can get out of people. And that's one of the things that makes the toxic female an extremely toxic person to be around, because she cannot have any sort of relationship with anyone. She has no love. She has no caring. She has no connection. So a lot of guys out here, they're thinking, oh, I can get this woman because she's so pretty. But the toxic female is not interested in anything. And if she picks you, it's not because she cares about you. No, she picks you because there's some resource you have. There's some opportunity to move up a social ladder. There is a tool for them, and for them to use one guy to get from one point to the next. And this is what they do. I mean, this is why you have the toxic female out here. They think that they just see people as tools to get from one point to the next. And that's what we saw in the case of your Will Smith and your Johnny Depp, who basically fell for the bait of these female predators. And as they fell for the bait of these female predators, they thought, oh, I can actually work with this woman. But there is no working with someone who basically is working against you. That's something many guys out here and many girls don't understand. Whenever you're dealing with a toxic female, she is always working against you, because she is always working on her angle above all else. This is something people have to understand about the toxic female, is that she is working on an angle. And whenever she comes to you, whether she wants to date a guy or whether she wants to be best friends with another woman, she is working an angle, and she'll say the right things to make you feel good. Excuse me. But the whole thing is, she doesn't really care about anything. It's like she'll feign interest, make it look like she's interested, make it look like she's concerned, make it look like she cares, make it look like she's into you. make it look like you matter. And again, everything with her isn't real, but she'll make you believe that everything is real. But it isn't real at all. And the whole thing is, many guys, they get caught up in their feelings, or many girls get caught up in their feelings with these types of toxic women. And that's why it's very hard to really get people to understand that they're in a jam. So a lot of people, they don't really approach these kind of people objectively, and this is why, they become targeted by these predators, because they focus on their feelings with this individual. And the whole thing is, you can't really focus on your feelings. You have to think critically with anybody you're involved with. And that's one of the ways you can avoid dealing with these kinds of predators, because again, these predators know who to look for, and they look for marks. They look for guys who are, again, caught up in their feelings about their looks. They look for girls who are caught up in their feelings and want to be like them. And then what they do is create covert contracts with these individuals. And as these individuals get caught up in the covert contracts, they are looking for this person to reciprocate as related to whatever deal that they imagined. But these people are never going to reciprocate, because they don't have any sort of integrity. They have no honor. And when you're dealing with a toxic female, you have to understand that even every word that comes out of her mouth is a lie. And everything that she's saying basically is to tell you what you want to hear. So that's why a lot of guys get themselves played. That's how a lot of women get themselves played. Even children get played, because when you're dealing with the toxic female, she is, again, a very, very manipulative, very charming person. And people are sitting there thinking, oh, this person is on the level, but there's nothing on the level for them. And the only thing they want to do is keep you strung along until they get what they want. Once they get what they want, they are going to try to dispose of an individual, and they're going to try to break out of the relationship. The lucky people, they wind up where they just wind up with the person playing them and then abandoning them. I mean, yes, that hurts, but that you're the lucky one, because you didn't have to deal with the extremes as related to these relationships. I mean, yes, you've got some emotional scars, but the whole thing is, this can get a lot worse when you're dealing with women with a toxic feminine mindset, because the women with the toxic feminine mindset, they want to keep their world smooth. They want to keep people from knowing about their bad reputation and their bad character, and they are willing to silence those who they believe will tell all about their bad reputation. That's how ruthless some of these toxic females are. They are very ruthless, and they are not above committing a crime to go out here on people to keep the image out there that does not reflect that doesn't reflect negatively on them. So they are always looking to keep their world smooth. So what they will do is go out here and, if they can, try to eliminate people by either talking bad about them, or in the extreme cases, some of these chicks will even plot violence, like murders against people, all to keep people silent. So this woman will do anything to keep her world smooth, keep her name out of the public out of the public circles, and keep people from talking about her. So this is a female who will, again, toxic female, she will do anything to hide bad information about herself, and she's not above sending a simp or a female fan to go out here and do her dirty work for her. So that's something people really have to think about when you're dealing with these predatory females. These kind of females, they are not above going out here and doing dirt to hide their reputations and keep people from finding out that they're really a scandalous and ratchet female. So they will do all kinds of things like sleeping with guys to hide information, or sending simps to go out here and attack people. They always try to keep their hands clean, but the whole thing is their hands are the dirtiest in the room, and the toxic female is one of the dirtiest players in the game. But the whole thing is that you can't really you shouldn't deal with these kind of women because they are a danger to everyone. Now, the toxic female mindset is one, again, this starts out very young. If you don't have a family with a good moral position, you can wind up becoming a toxic female if you're a woman, if you imbibe a lot of this media out here, because a lot of this media promotes ratchetness as a social norm. And you have to have a strong, solid foundation in a family with a foundation in the Most High to avoid becoming one of these toxic females and participating in this toxic femininity, because this culture is all around us. And if you don't watch yourself, you can wind up imbibing this culture, buying into these ideas, and these ideas can basically make it where you become someone who no one can have a relationship with, because the toxic female, again, she cannot have relationships because she's messed up on the inside. Her head is just completely messed up. She has no empathy. She has no ability to connect with people. She has no ability to bond with people. She has no ability to go out here and see how other people feel. No, in her mind, and the only thing that she sees is people as tools. And that's what she saw her mother using people as tools. And all she wants to do is use a person to get from point A to point B. And she doesn't care about the person on the journey, because all she cares about is getting what she wants. And once she gets what she wants to get out of here. And then what she wants to do is destroy the evidence to make sure that nobody can implicate her in anything that she's done. So the toxic female, after she's used people, she looks to find a way again to eliminate those people or discard those people. Usually she'll either, when she gets what she wants, like if she's on a job and she's got some simps doing dirty work for them and she gets the promotion, the first thing she does is fire the simps so that they won't be able to talk about how they helped her do the work or did the work for her. So that's the first thing she does when she's on a job. She looks to get rid of a simp, and she looks to fire those simps so that they won't be out here talking about how they went out here and did the work for her, and how they worked to get all this stuff done for her. She doesn't want that information out there. So what she does look to do is get rid of these guys. And these guys are thinking, oh, I'm on my way to a promotion. I'm on my way up. But what they do is they come up with a trumped up charge of something, and they use that to fire the beta male simps that went out here and did the work for them. They also do this to a lot of females who they do have at the job. When they are there and they're helping them out, they look to get rid of those women because they don't want the word of mouth coming out that this woman is mediocre, this woman is incompetent, and they don't want this information coming out. So they look to fire that woman. So that's one of the things that these female predators go out here and do. Once they get power, they use it to destroy those around them so that they won't have anybody to let anybody know what they're really about. So that's what the toxic female does. And whenever she's finished with using people in situations, she tries to find a way to eliminate those people, and she tries to find a way to get rid of them so that they won't be out here talking. Now, she also tries to find ways to eliminate people in social situations, and she'll try to do things to embarrass someone or shame them so badly that they won't be a part of another social circle. And these women are notorious for going out here and looking to break up relationships with other people. So that's another thing that they like to do whenever people figure out stuff about them. Like I believe in the case of your Jada Pinkett Smith, she knows that Will knows all about all of the dirty stuff she's done. And even though she's come out with the so-called entanglement with August Alsina, she knows that Will knows too much, and that's why she's trying to destroy Will Smith's career and reputation, because she doesn't want the dirt coming out on her. So you have to look at how these females operate. They want to go out here and eliminate people who know too much. And that's what I believe she came out with this whole campaign to emasculate Will Smith, because she wanted to gain power over him so that her secrets won't come out. So she figures, if I destroy this man, whether it be by destroying his personal reputation, his professional image, or just going out here and embarrassing and emasculating him, this will lead to him winding up being in a place where he cannot tell anything about my secrets or the skeletons in her closet. So she's very eager to destroy this man, and this was shown by the recent statement she made on her Red Table Talk, where she was sitting there trying to tell Chris Rock and Will Smith to work it out. Now, this statement right here, and I talked about this in a whole video, is coming up tomorrow night at 8 p.m. This woman, what she wants to do is try to gain control over the narrative, and she wants to gain control over the narrative because, again, she doesn't want the skeletons coming out. So she's trying to tell two grown men to work out their business, and she's doing this to, one, get attention for herself and keep the drama going, and two, she wants to continue maintaining power over those two grown men. And that just shows, again, how these types of toxic females are dangerous and how predatory they are. They look to go out here and make situations all about them, but it's not all about them. I mean, what happens between Chris Rock and Will Smith is between Chris Rock and Will Smith, and two grown men who are strong leaders. They would have told Jada Pinkett Smith to go take her ass somewhere, because this is our business and we will take care of our business. That's what a grown man is going to do. Unfortunately, when you have these type of toxic females, they break a weaker man down, and they break a weaker man down that he doesn't stand up and speak for himself. When you have a predatory female, again, she looks for weak people so that she can go out here and break them down, emotionally abuse them, and even some cases physically, like in the case of Amber Heard, abuse them. And again, this breaking down process is so that they can gain power in the relationship. And when they gain power in the relationship, they use this to try to manipulate and control the individual. And the relationship, again, it turns into a codependent relationship where this female has all of the power in the relationship. And as they have all of the power in the relationship, they use it to control the other individual. And as they're looking to use it to control the other individual they're not even thinking about how they're being broken down and how they're being put in a role lower than a pet dog. So basically, when you're dealing with this type of female, she doesn't even see you on the same level as a human being. She doesn't see you as a man. She doesn't see a man as a leader. She doesn't see a woman as a person. She doesn't even see children as people. Again, she always sees people as pawns on her chessboard, and she looks to move these pawns around in order to win the chess game. But if you understand the game of chess, you understand that this type of woman, she's playing a game with you, and the whole thing is she can only play that game with you if you allow her to play this game with you. Smart people see the toxic female's behavior, and when they see the toxic female's behavior starting, they end the game. So most of the people who see the toxic female and they see how she's behaving early on, what they do is they go out here and they shut this down. And when they shut it down, that's how they can get the predatory female out of their lives very, very quickly. Unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't know how to identify these types of predatory females, and they don't understand that this whole predatory female, this toxic female, she is not somebody who you want to befriend. You can't have a relationship with her because she's not somebody who relates to anyone. She alienates practically everyone when they learn the truth about them, and she drives everybody away. Thank you, Kevin, for the super chat. He says these toxic females don't have a father figure in their lives, and that's right. Many of these women don't have a father figure in their lives. They don't have any men in their lives to teach them and show them a model of manhood, and they have no men to set boundaries for them, and they have no men to teach them about respect. So, since there is no man there to teach them how to respect men and to set boundaries on how he is treated and show an example of how he will be treated, she thinks that she can go out here and use men as tools and then go out here and discard those men, whether it be by breaking up with them, the lucky ones, or just abandoning them, again, the lucky ones. But the really bad ones, the guys who really suffer, are the guys who wind up either losing their lives because these women have sent some simp to take them out, or they've gone out here and taken their lives themselves. A lot of these toxic females, again, they have no moral compass. They have no regard for anything or anyone. It's all about what they can get. And once they get what they want to get out of here. And that's basically what your Jada Pinkett wants to do with Will Smith. She wants to get out of here. She knows that she's doesn't have. She knows that she can go out here and get on Easy Street with Will Smith's money in a divorce. So now she wants to get out, and she's thinking she's seen some other young guys paying her some attention, and she's thinking that because the young guys are paying her attention, she's going to get a better deal, and that's what she's thinking she's going to get. But the whole thing is, she doesn't see the chess game that I have seen with these older women, and that is that they get a what I call what the Bible says, reaping what they sow. What happens is these women do dirt to guys to get their money, and then they call themselves trying to, at 50 and 40 years old, getting with young pookies, and the young pookies wind up using them for their money. Now, David Hackney asked the question, he said, are you still writing a book about the woman crisis? Yes, I'm still in the process of working on the woman crisis, and toxic femininity is a chapter I'm going to try to fit into the book because I think about the whole toxic femininity, and it needs to be talked about because I talked about toxic masculinity in the man crisis, and I talked about how toxic masculinity is created by feminists, and your feminists also create toxic femininity, and toxic femininity turns women into female predators. So whenever you have a toxic male, he's a beta male, but when you have a toxic female, she learns how to become a female predator at an early age, because when you imbibe a culture of feminism in the home, in media, and you see this all the time, you don't have a healthy model of womanhood. And because you don't have a healthy model of womanhood shown to you, you learn how to become a toxic female. And a toxic female, she doesn't look to love a man. She doesn't look to be a helpmeet to a man. She does not look to be a partner to a man in a relationship. That she doesn't want to have any sort of emotional or personal connection with a man. No, all she wants to do is use men like tools to get her from point A to point B. She uses guys to get everything she wants, and she's been using guys ever since she learned that her atomic waste reactor was the way she could go out here and get stuff. So many of these women who are the toxic female women today, they've been using guys since they were teenagers, ever since they could go out here. Some of these girls have gone out here and they've used the corner store owner for Little Debbie snack cakes, pound the chip chop ham like the late David Carroll talked about. Others use guys to get themselves the sneakers. They use guys to go out here to get the cars and stuff. They use guys to get whatever they want, whether it be, again, that Little Debbie snack cake, a pound of chip chop ham, expensive shoes, expensive dresses. they will use guys to get anything and everything from promotions at jobs to even getting apartments or getting guys to take care of them. Everything with them is not anything about having a relationship. Everything with them is a business transaction. And what they do is make you think that you are capable of having a relationship, but it's not a relationship to them. It's all business. And they use their business to go out here and make you think that there's something personal going on, but there's nothing personal going on for them. Once they get what they want, they've gotten what they want, and now they're looking to move on to the next man. Now, Link 1111 asks, do I see this coming to a stop in our lifetime? I don't see it coming to a stop, sadly, because the culture of the toxic female is now part of the norm. And it's only a small group of women out here who have the mindset of a helpmeet or understand their role as helpmeets. Most of today's women, because we've created a feminist culture and created this whole feminist culture as a social norm, this is something that is part of the mainstream. And that's what we have right now. The toxic female is the norm because we don't have women anymore in society. We have a lot of feminists, and a lot of them were taught to be feminists from birth. So a lot of girls, they're thinking, oh, I'm learning how to be a girl from my mom. But if your mother is a feminist, you're going to learn how to become a feminist too. So it's a major part of the culture. It's a major part of the society. I mean, it's interwoven so intricately, the feminist culture, that it is basically what America's women have become. And that's why we have a woman crisis in this country, because most of America's women have learned how to become feminists and not women. They have been socially engineered to become feminists. And because they've socially engineered to become feminists, they don't know how to become women. And this is one of the reasons why you have a toxic female, because a toxic female, they're sitting there thinking that they're going to become the equal or really the superior to a man, because a lot of these toxic females, they have a superiority complex, and that's why they behave the way they behave. Because in the case of both your Amber Heard and your Jada Pinkett, they both thought that they were superior to the men they were involved with. They thought that they were better than the men they were involved with. They thought they were the best out here. And that is why they go out here and think that they can treat these men all kinds of ways. But that whole superiority is rooted in insecurity. Again, they want to foster a codependent relationship with this man because they feel inadequate in their presence. And the whole thing is they want to gain power over this man so that they can feel some sort of power like the feminists told them that they would have. And that's another part of who they are. So when you're dealing with these types of toxic females, again, they want to have power, they want to have control, and they want to dominate people, and they want to be able to be the center of attention. So another part of the toxic female is that she is a major narcissist, and she thinks the world revolves around her and only her. So another part of these toxic females is that they think that they are not only better than everybody else, they also think everybody needs to be the center of attention, and they think that if nobody's paying attention to them, that's something's wrong with them. But the irony is that there's something wrong with the toxic female, and there's something wrong with the toxic female because her mind is completely a wreck. I mean, she's learned a lot of twisted ideas, and she's got a twisted perspective on things. So this is not somebody you want to deal with. And and the whole thing is these people will put up a facade for a long period of time, but the whole thing is the truth will come out of the sooner rather than later. Now, Chris Bennett makes a good point. He says that women do not have the capacity to look for love. It's about looking for someone to help them. Well, there are women who look to be helpmeets out here, but the whole thing is that most of these women, most of these modern women, they can't love anyone. They have no ability to love. They have never seen love. They've never experienced it. They've never had it modeled for them. And that's what makes them very, very detached. And again, the relationships they've seen are all where their mother is using men. They see men as tools, and they see men as somebody they can use. So they don't know how to love anyone. The toxic female can't love anyone because she's never been loved at all. And again, it goes back to the daddy issues and all the issues that they're having. They don't know how to use anything at all as related to connecting with people. So when you're dealing with the toxic woman, this is the kind of woman who, again, she's the, like Amber made the point, these, well, the kind of women who do birth most of the Pookies and Ray Rays. This is the kind of woman, she, again, because she uses her body to make business transactions and she has no empathy and no heart at all. She creates the Pookies and Ray Rays. So a lot of these beta males, who are the toxic males in your community, they come from the toxic females, and the toxic females are rooted in feminism. So a lot of people want to sit there and say, oh, the regular man is the toxic male. No, it's the Pookies and Ray Rays who are the toxic males, and the toxic males come from, a source, and the source is toxic females, and the toxic females come from feminism. So you have a toxic female who creates toxic males, and that's why we have a real trouble in our society, because it's the toxic females who create the toxic males, but they'll sit there and make it believe, oh, the regular guy is the toxic male who has a father in his life. The regular guy who has a routine is a toxic male. The regular guy who wants to set structure and order is a toxic male. But they'll tell you that the Pookie and Ray Ray, that, oh, these guys aren't toxic, but these are the guys who are the most toxic. And they're toxic due to the fact that these females enable a lot of the dysfunctional behavior, and they enable that dysfunctional behavior in their sons because they were taught by their mothers and the men in society that they could get away with whatever they wanted and never be accountable for anything. So we have to connect the dots on the toxic female. It's the toxic females who get enabled by men. It is the toxic females who go out here and get involved with other Pookies and Ray Rays, or use guys as tools to get pregnant. And they go out here and breed the Pookies and Ray Rays. So they all connect with each other. And most people, they're not really paying attention to it. They're sitting there thinking, well, we got another clown here, so bye. But this is the person who was talking. They go get the Pookies and Ray Rays, and they sit there and we're wondering, oh, where does Pookie and Ray Ray come from? Well, Pookie and Ray Ray have their roots in feminism, and the whole thing is they want us to believe that the feminists can create a kinder, gentler, softer male and a stronger, more enlightened female. But in actuality, they create the toxic male and they create the toxic female. So this is where the roots of the toxic female out here. So this is what people aren't really thinking about. But when I go out here and I look at it and I go, they have roots in feminism, and the toxic female is the one who's the offshoot of the feminist. So we have 52 watching and 51 likes. So let's get the likes up. Thank you, Juwan, for telling people to get the likes up. That really helps. And while I've got 51 in the room, I'm asking everybody to sign up for Joining the Death Store. Kickstarter. The book is going to be coming out June 22nd. I've created all the files, and all I'm waiting for is for the Kickstarter to be completed and send the book to the printer. So everything on John Haynes at Death Store is complete, and all I'm asking everybody to do is sign up for the Kickstarter, and then on June 22nd, put in a pledge, and you will be getting a copy of a paper or digital version. All the work is done. The files are sitting on my computer, and all I'm going to do after the Kickstarter ends is send them to the printer. So that's everything that's going to be done with John Haynes at Death Store. So I want everybody to sign up for it. We've got 40 1 followers right now, and I'm hoping to get the numbers up on John Haynes at Death's Door, and I'm hoping everybody comes out and supports it. I mean, this is how we keep, this is how I stay on the air, and this is how I keep doing projects. So I'm asking everybody to keep supporting the John Haynes at Death's Door Kickstarter. So again, toxic female, she is somebody who doesn't know how to have relationships with people, and she's just completely just enabled and unable to function. And we've got a lot of toxic females in society, and they just are they're making society a complete mess. So we have to really think about things. And Amber makes a good point. Yeah, the toxic females treat their kids bad, and in public, she talks down to them. She talks down to everybody. I mean, if you look at the way Jada Pinkett talks to Will Smith, she's very condescending. If you look at the way Amber Heard talks about Johnny Depp, and she just they treat people like nothing because they don't see people as anything. They have no regard for another person's feelings. They have no empathy. They have no compassion. They have absolutely no heart. And this toxic female, again, she looks pretty on the outside, but she's a monster on the inside. And she's a monster that you just don't want to deal with, because when you're dealing with a toxic female, she just, again, sees everybody as a tool she can use. So she doesn't care about your feelings. She doesn't even care about her own children. In a lot of cases, she's the kind of woman who will go out here and use her children to go out here and get something that she wants. And she's basically somebody who would abandon her own children if she couldn't get what she wanted, or she had gotten what she wanted and the kids knew the truth about her. That's how cold and callous your toxic female is. And a toxic female is somebody that you really, again, don't want around. Unfortunately, this is the culture for the mainstream American woman. The culture for the mainstream American woman is the culture of the toxic female. And this culture is one that is going to set the entire country in a bad direction. Because if we go by the old African proverb, a race can rise no higher than the moral position of its women, and as the woman goes, so goes the race. When you have a society filled with women with a toxic feminine mindset, they are not going to set the country in a good direction. Because when you have these predatory females who are the norm, and they just are out here looking to use people as tools, they are not out here teaching good values to people, and they're not teaching good values to their daughters. And the whole thing is, if their daughters are learning this toxic and predatory way to be socialized in society, what's happening is that your daughters are not learning how to have healthy relationships with people. No, they're learning to have dysfunctional relationships with people. And instead of them learning how to love another person, they're learning how to use people. That's why toxic femininity is a very dangerous thing to have in society, because you have a woman who you just can't work with as a man, because you can't build with this kind of female, because this female is not looking to build with you. Either she's looking to steal everything you've got, or she's looking to tear everything down that you've got, because she is resentful of you. So you cannot build with this woman, because this woman is not interested in helping you towards building anything. She's looking to get the cash and go, and she's looking to get that cash to move on to the next predator, next victim, because she's just looking to get what she wants and be on her way. So when you're dealing with a toxic female, she's somebody, again, she's not somebody you can build with. She's not somebody who you can have raising your children, because a lot of these females they have a lot of hatred in them and anger in them. And since they hate you, and they're going to hate your children. So that's what happened in the case of Jada Pinkett and her 2 children. She hated Will Smith so much that she wound up messing up his son and messing up his daughter. And she did that deliberately because she hates him. And a lot of the toxic females, they have a lot of envy against men because they see men as having more power than they do. And they want to be able to get that power for themselves. So they find ways to destroy the men in their lives and take that power away from the men by taking away their legacy. And that's what your Jada Pinkett did to Will Smith's son and daughter. She destroyed his legacy so that because she was angry about him having all of this success. She was jealous, she was angry, and she wanted to go out here and destroy his legacy. And again, this is what toxic females do because they don't want to set your family in a good direction because they have no moral position, and they want to destroy what's yours because they're not interested in helping you by helping you build. All they want to do is be an opportunist, get the little that they can get, and then be on their way. And then after they get that, they want a monkey branch to the next guy. Juwan makes a good point. Yeah, Amber Heard is practically done now. I mean, her reputation is tarnished, and no business is gonna want to deal with her. And she's practically done at this point. I mean, she's been revealed to be a predatory female, and she's been revealed to be someone of incredibly bad character. So she's practically done. But what's really good about this whole situation is we have people talking about toxic femininity, and we really need to have more discussions on toxic femininity because toxic femininity, this is something that can practically destroy a society. When you have toxic females, they just practically destroy societies because they have such resentment of men, they have such hatred of men that they're willing to destroy the families that they're a part of, and they don't want to build anything. They tear everything down. And when you have a population of toxic females, there is nothing left because the children have no moral position. They have no moral compass due to the way that they're raised. And there's no way for any family to go on with a legacy. We see an example of that with Will Smith. I mean, Will Smith had a chance to build his legacy with Jada Pinkett, but she tore it down. She's basically emasculated and effeminized his son, confused his daughter. I mean, she has torn him completely apart. And thank you, Seeker of Truth, for the super chat. Really appreciate it. But she's destroyed everything about him and made it where everything he had is practically going to be turned to crap. And the only thing that he has as related to a legacy is the son he had with the other woman. And that's due to the way that she was raised. So she wasn't raised with a toxic feminine mindset, but Jada Pinkett had the toxic feminine mindset, and so did Amber Heard. Both of them had the toxic feminine mindset. And again, the toxic feminine mindset is one rooted in a lot of anger, a lot of jealousy, a lot of hatred of men. And that's a core component of the toxic female, is she has a deep-seated hatred of men. She doesn't really like men. She doesn't really want relationships with men outside of using them. And she really doesn't care about men. All she cares about is using men as a tool to get from point A to point B. And all she wants to do is use those guys, use them as tools. And then once she finishes using them, she either, again, wants to abandon them or destroy them. And she wants to protect her reputation so that people won't find out who she is. But we're finding more and more out about toxic females, and we're seeing more and more people having discussions about the toxic female. And the toxic female is somebody who has done serious damage to American society. But the whole problem is that most people won't talk about the toxic female like they're doing right now. But the toxic female is somebody who has done a lot of damage to American society. And this toxic female, whenever she's around, she just destroys everything in her path because she's a toxic person. And what she'll do is say, oh, it's toxic masculinity. But no, toxic femininity is more destructive. And your toxic femininity has its roots in feminism. Your toxic female is the feminist. But you won't hear that in mainstream media because mainstream media is controlled mostly by your simps and your feminists. And Looks like we got another troll. So this is how you deal with them. Get out of here. So when you're dealing with these kind of guys and these kind of women, the toxic female, then they have a lot. Again, they're very, very dangerous out here. Now, your toxic female, again, she knows how to talk. She knows how to put on a look. She knows how to say what people want to hear. But the truth is that when you start to see her character, you see who she really is, and you see that she's the one looking to go out here and be the one who wants to destroy everything around her. Yes, she'll put on a face that makes you think she's into you, but she's not really into anything except herself. And all she wants to do is get what she wants. And once she gets what she wants, that's the end of it. Let me see. Rob IS asked the question: does a toxic female tend to be a Democrat or Republican? They can be of any political spectrum, but usually your toxic female will use anyone to get anywhere she wants. Now, usually most of your conservative men, they set boundaries and rules and structure. So what happens with the toxic female? She can't get into those situations and she can't get into those places because wherever there are rules, wherever there's boundaries, wherever there's structure, your toxic female, she runs away, and she runs away because those people are going to hold her accountable. Those people are going to hold her responsible. They're going to make her hold her to the same standard as everybody else. So usually your toxic female don't like to be in places where there's responsibility. She don't like to be in places where there's accountability. She doesn't like places where there's structure. So usually when you're dealing with a toxic female, she will run for the hills. Once you start setting rules and boundaries, once you start saying no to her, she likes to be enabled and likes people to give her passes. And like Chris was saying, yes, mainstream media enables the toxic female, and they enable the toxic female because they believe they're going to profit at her expense. But usually they wind up losing in the end because any toxic female, you think you're going to make a deal with her and you're going to get ahead, but you're always going to lose because the toxic female, what she does is she's going to turn the tables on you. That's the mistake a lot of people make when you're dealing with a toxic female and women who've learned toxic feminine culture is thinking you're going to get over on this person, but they will always flip the table on you, and they'll always flip the table on you to avoid dealing with accountability. What are the rules to keep your woman from being toxic in a relationship? Jordan, well, the rules are, again, you are to set rules for yourself, set boundaries. This is very easy, and set order. I mean, once you start establishing rules for yourself and how you are engaged, once you start setting boundaries for your relationships, once you start saying no to women, that's how you stop the toxic woman from coming into your life. Because again, the toxic woman runs away when she sees rules, structure, and order. When your toxic female sees rules, structure, and order, that's when she heads for the hills. But the problem we have in America is we have a lot of toxic males out here who are looking to get a deal with this woman. They're looking to create covert contracts with this woman. And because they're looking to get a deal with a covert contract with this woman, they're thinking, oh, I can make a deal with this woman and I'll be able to benefit with this deal. But you're never going to benefit at all. All she's going to do is flip the table on you. And that's what happened to Amber. That's what happened with Will Smith and Johnny Depp. They thought they could make a deal with the devil, but the devil wound up burning them at the end of the day. So at the end of as they had their relationship with the toxic female, she turned the tables on him. And as she turned the tables on him, what happened to these guys is she started getting more, using abuse to get more power on these guys. She started using abuse to get more control over these guys. And that's how they wound up losing at the end. The same thing happens to many businesses out here which try to make deals with these types of females, like with many of the SJW corporation companies who try to pander to these type of women. They make deals trying to, we'll give this woman a job, but this woman will give you mediocre work. and she'll flip the tables on you and then tell you it's your fault. So most of these guys, they get played because they are too in their lust, or they get too greedy. And because they get in their lust or they get too greedy, what happens is that these guys get themselves played. And that's what happens to anybody who tries to think they can get one over on this kind of predator. So you think you're going to make a deal with this devil, but this devil is going to burn you. So the only way you deal with this type of predator is to just say, okay, I'm going to just set boundaries and order. And once you start setting boundaries and structure and order, they will just extricate themselves from the situation, and you'll start hearing things like, "I'm not happy. It's not working out. I'm leaving you," and let them leave. Always let these toxic females go. Let them leave, and let them leave, and don't even look back at them, because the faster they leave, the better your life will be. And that's something many of these simps out here don't understand, and many of these insecure women don't understand. They don't understand how to just let these people go. Now, a person who sees them for who they are, they like, oh, just let them go, let them be on their way. If they leave, I haven't lost anything. In fact, I have gained something, because I've learned that this is a type of person to avoid dealing with, and a person to avoid even being bothered with. What's going on, Queens of Virtue? I'm glad to see you here. Almost about ready to go, almost, because it's kind of, but yeah, Jarrett makes a good point. You can't let disrespect slide with these type of toxic females. You can't give this type of female a pass, and you can't let them get away with stuff, because if you give them a pass, they're going to take more power. And that's what happened to Will Smith, and that's what happened to Johnny Depp, is they let stuff slide. The women started continuing to escalate their abuse. They continued to escalate their disrespect. And disrespect is another major part of the toxic female. She's always looking to test to see what she can get away with her crop tests. That's also something you really have to think about when you're dealing with toxic females, is they're always looking to let something go. They're always looking to see if you're going to let something slide, but you have to keep a hard boundary, and you cannot let anything go past that boundary. I mean, your respect is paramount as related to a relationship, and you have to take your respect very seriously. So this is something many guys out here, they don't really think about. Many women don't think about. You have to set hard boundaries. And again, once you start setting hard boundaries, that's when you're going to see a complete different reaction from this person. They're going to give you the sucked teeth. They're going to give you the rolled eyes. They're going to talk about they're going to use the shaming language. I mean, this is the way these toxic females operate. But you have to understand that you can't get upset about the way that they're acting, because they're looking at your emotions to find a way to manipulate you. The more consistent you are as related to your behavior, the faster you get the toxic female out of your life, and the more consistent you are in your behavior, the more they understand that there's not going to be any of this behavior with you. And again, the faster you start setting boundaries, the faster you get the toxic female out of your life. And the whole thing is, with your daughters, you have to teach them not to be toxic females, because you've got a lot of media out here teaching your girls to be toxic. And the whole thing is that you have to sit there and explain to them, this is not the way you want to be out here. Link 1111 asks, what are some hardcore solutions for our current and future generations? Do you feel it's too late, way too late for change? Or hypergamy is just a part of life? I mean, all women are hypergamous. Hypergamy is not a bad thing, because women are going to look for the man with the most resources, but it's how they look for them. But the whole thing is, the healthy woman is going to look at a guy based on his character and see character as a resource. But the predatory woman, she sees a man's economic resources as the only resource. A healthy woman is looking for a man to have good values and good character, because she's looking for somebody to work with towards teaching her children. But a predatory woman, all she's looking at is how much money a dude has, what type of stuff he's got. And sadly, this is the culture that most girls have been taught as a norm for over 6 decades. But the whole thing is that you have to understand how to teach your daughters and teach your daughters, okay, you don't look for a man based on the color of his money. You look for him on the content of his character. And when you look for a man on the content of his character, that's how you find a quality man. And that's the type of man you go out here and marry and go out here and build with. You don't mess with female predators, because female predators are just looking for somebody to prey on, whether it be a man or a woman. A female predator is looking for somebody to prey on, and they're looking for somebody to go out here and, like the devil, the roaming lion, looking for somebody to devour. But you don't want to be the one they devour. You don't want to be the lamb that's out there that's easily can be taken. You don't want to be the sheep that just follows behind them into a death trap. No, you want to be where you become aware of this predator. And once you become aware of this predator, you won't become prey to them. And once you become aware of this whole culture of these predators, you can now teach your daughters not to be this kind of woman, because this kind of woman, the end for her is not very pretty. And the end for this type of woman is bust downtown, because as she's preyed on all of these different men and different women, she winds up eventually people finding out the truth about her. She winds up having no friends. She winds up having no relationships with people. And she winds up becoming a resident of bust downtown. And that's what happens to your predatory female. Well, there's a toxic mindset. What happens is she winds up becoming a resident of bust downtown. And in bust downtown, that's where she winds up alone for the final years of her life. So the toxic female, she'll be sitting there and wondering, why I don't have any friends? Why don't I have any family? Why don't I have anybody to love me? Well, nobody loves you because basically you've been a sociopath for your entire life. And because you've been a sociopath, you've driven everybody away who could have loved you. And that's sadly what happens to the toxic female. And that's what's happening to so many of these women out here. And that's why we're having a woman crisis in this country, because many of our women, they're not learning how to become healthy women. They're learning to become toxic women. And these toxic women are just basically looking to prey on everybody in America. And they are looking to prey on American men and women and looking to get what they want. And the sad part is, once they get what they want, America winds up in a place where where our children have no moral position, and our country is in a really lost direction. So this live stream is basically a part of what I'm writing in my book, The Woman Crisis, and I'm hoping to have that book out soon. But until then, in the fall, you can pick up The Man Crisis on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis on Smashwords, the iBook Store, and Google Play. Now, I wrote The Man Crisis to help many of the men out here break out of the dysfunctional pattern that they have learned over the last 60 years. And I'm writing The Woman Crisis to also help many of the women out here break out of the same dysfunctional paradigm that they have learned over the last 60 years as they have imbibed feminist culture, and how this feminist culture has supplanted the culture of American women. Now, I hope to have The Woman Crisis out this fall. I've finished the first draft, and I'm currently now in the middle of revisions, so I'm hoping to have that book out soon. So until then, I also have other projects out here that I desperately need your support for, like, John Haynes at Death's Door. I mean, so I'll leave a link to the John Haynes at Death's Door Kickstarter. I'm asking everybody to sign up for that. And I also have positive Black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, like ISIS Legacy and Eastine Horror of the Hyena Woman. You can get these books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And I'm working hard for some weekend book sales. So I'd appreciate it if you guys came out this weekend and picked up a couple of copies of ISIS Legacy Eastern Horror of the Hyena Woman, The Man Crisis, and many of the other books on the SJS Direct imprint. I'm going to answer one more question from Yak Diesel. He asks, Sean, do you advise men to get seriously involved with women who are involved in show business in any capacity? It seems like some of the toxic traits you refer to are common with aspiring actresses. I don't know if you should get involved with anybody who is involved in entertainment, because a lot of the women in entertainment, they have to be fake, and a lot of them are fake. So a lot of them are opportunists. A lot of them are they're very ambitious, and they will go out here and they look to use people to move from one place to the other. So whenever you're dealing with these women who are in the entertainment business, they are not women you want to get involved with, because usually you don't know if their feelings for you are real, and you don't know if you've actually formed a connection with them. That's something that's it's a major issue when you're dealing with people who are in entertainment, because a lot of these women, especially when they're young, they're very ambitious, and they'll go out here and get with any guy to get a part. They'll trade their bodies for parts, and they're not people who have a really as I see it, healthy perspective on things. They're very greedy, very ambitious, and they monkey branch from one person to the next, just looking for somebody to use. And you made a good point. Yeah, you said the guy's going through a nasty divorce with a woman in the acting industry. Yeah, they can be very nasty, because what they want to get is resources, and they also want to destroy the other person so that the truth doesn't come out about them. So I don't really advise it. I mean, if you get lucky and you find a decent woman out here to go out here and get involved with, and she's got good character, but you're not really going to find too many people with good character in the entertainment industry, because there's a lot of predators and a lot of vultures in that business. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped screenwriting, because a lot of these guys, they will just do anything to get ahead, and I mean do anything to get ahead. So that's not really something I would advise guys to get involved with too much. I mean, yes, when I was a teenager, I used to think, oh, this actress was so attractive. But after I started looking at what these women did to get these parts, I realized, yeah, I don't want to deal with a celebrity woman, because you never know what she'll do to move up in the entertainment industry. And she'll do anything to move up in the entertainment industry and do stuff behind your back, like what Jada Pinkett was doing with this August Alsina, and what Amber Heard was probably doing with many of those producers and directors. If you knew what these women did, again, it's like a hot dog factory, it would disturb you. So if you're gonna get it, you can't. I wouldn't really get involved with them. I would just, if you want to, proceed with caution, like one viewer said. But I wouldn't deal with them, because I know how they are. I know not to deal with them in any way, shape, or form. So just find yourself a quality woman out here who isn't really involved in the entertainment business, because entertainment, it's a really wicked business. Link, I don't need an inker for a project right now. Right now, I'm just trying to get the John Haynes at Death's Door Kickstarter funded on June 22nd. But I'm in the future, I don't really use inkers. I just use the artist. I need an artist. If I were to do another project, I'm thinking about maybe doing an ISIS comic or another John Haynes comic, but that's still in the draft stages. But if a project comes along, I will let people know that I'm looking for people. So that's something that I'm still in the middle of thinking about as related to the next comic, but I can't think about the next comic until I get this one funded. But the only way I can get that funded is with your support. So that's why I'm asking everybody to come out on June 22nd and pick up a copy of John Haynes at Death's Door, and then I'll be able to start producing more comics on the SJS Direct imprint. So I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream, and I hope you'll be there for next week's stream. Have a good evening and have a good night.